U.S. troops came under attack today, not just from Iraqi militias, but from none other than Rosie O'Donnell. And perhaps her boldest and most offensive statement to date, she equated American troops to terrorists on The View. Take a look.
655,000 Iraqi civilians are dead. Who are the terrorists?
Who are the terrorists?
655 Iraqis. I'm saying you have to look from the... We invaded...
Wait, who are you calling terrorists?
I'm saying that if you were in Iraq and another country, the United States, the richest in the world, invaded your country and killed 655,000 of your citizens, what would you call us?
Are we killing their citizens, or are their people also killing their citizens?
Invading a sovereign nation and occupying a country against the UN.
There's so many things wrong about what Rosie O'Donnell just said there. First of all, calling American troops terrorists is beyond the pale. Secondly, where she gets her number, I don't know. And thirdly, as Elizabeth Hasselbeck stated, it's the Iraqis killing the Iraqis right now that's causing the most deaths over there. Shia killing Sunnis. But we'll talk about that later. You know, the attack on American troops, comparing them to terrorists, comes just days after she accused Republican presidential candidate Rudy Giuliani of covering up after 9/11.
He was, instrumental in making sure that all of the steel was removed and shipped to Canada right away. Giuliani was shipped to China, right away.
For what purpose?
Well, to get it out of there and to have, all of the stuff, but it was all gone. So there was no, metal to test. There was no...
So melt it down and recycle it?
No, it's the what?
Now Giuliani was involved in the cover-up? Is that what's going on? I just want to check. It was to take 30 months to clean up after 9/11. It ended up taking 9. I mean, if you look back on it at the time, people were applauding the fast action and how rapid...
He was too fast,
He took incredible action to make things better at the time.
The biggest crime scene ever in the history of the world, right?
Right.
And all the evidence is cleaned up and sent away.
So has Rosie finally gone too far? And should ABC send her packing before her contract's up? With us now, screenwriter and commentator John Ridley, investigative journalist Jane Velez Mitchell. She's author of the new book, Secrets Can Be Murder, and MSNBC media analyst Steve Adubato. You know, Steve, there's so many things here that are wrong. I seriously, I don't know where to begin. But let's start with Rosie O'Donnell comparing American troops to terrorists. Why does ABC put up with it? Why does Barbara Walters put up with it, especially when you have all these people being fired for, making fun of Asian Americans, which Rosie O'Donnell's already done?
It's unbelievable, Joe. It's disgraceful, and ultimately ABC and Barbara Walters are responsible because they are the employers. It's simple. You debate the policy, you attack the policy, you attack the president, you attack the strategy. You never cross the line, Joe, and you know this as well as any reasonable person does. You never cross the line and attack the troops, putting their lives on the line.
She accused the troops of being terrorists and then accused them of killing 655,000 Iraqis. I guess Rosie doesn't read the New York Times, which will tell you the Shia are killing the Sunnis are killing the Shia. Iraqis are killing Iraqis a lot more than we are right now.
Joe, she not only doesn't back up anything she says, but she doesn't understand or appreciate that men and women, brave men and women of all ages, sometimes 2, 3 tours, go there to fight, to defend, because they're part of the military. What is she saying? That they should leave and be court-martialed? They're putting their lives on the line. She sits in a studio in New York, passes judgment on their actions in following out a policy that she disagrees with. By the way, I disagree with the policy too. But to call them terrorists is unconscionable. She must be held to account. I don't understand why she still is playing out the string.
I don't understand why Barbara Walters puts up with it. I don't understand why ABC puts up with it. Jane, you know Rosie O'Donnell. What do you think about her calling American troops terrorists?
Well, Joe, I'm not going to defend her. I think what she said was absolutely wrong. I want to get that out right away. I will say I think she was trying to make a point, but she made it the wrong way. The word terrorist is extremely emotionally loaded. It has to be used with care, and it cannot be bandied about. I will say she's not the only one misusing the term. The U.S. government has begun labeling groups that they find inconvenient terrorists. They've labeled animal rights groups, for example, domestic terrorists, when animal rights activists have never killed an individual. Anytime you use the word terrorist inappropriately, it is an insult to those who have died on 9/11.
My God, but calling U.S. troops terrorists, how can you compare that to the United States putting that label on other people? Calling our American troops that are sacrificing that are away from their husbands and wives. Again, it is indefensible. I guess, John Ridley, what I don't understand is, how does Barbara Walters allow this to continue?
I don't know, Joe. First of all, as far as terrorism is concerned, the definition of terrorism is using violence to achieve a political end. So I would say that there are some animal rights groups that, for example, will go and use
They've never killed anyone. They have never killed anyone.
It's using violence.
Mafia has, though.
Excuse me. It's using violence. Violence does not mean you have to kill someone. It's using violence to achieve a political end. So I think that that's correct by definition. The other thing, and I will go back to what Steve says, and I agree with Steve, is that Rosie says things and does not back them up. The Giuliani comment, for example, the debris taken from the 9/11 site was not immediately shipped to China. It was taken to the Fresh Kills landfill in Staten Island, where over 1.6 million tons of debris was sifted through by experts for evidence, for human remains, and out of that, 350,000 tons of scrap metal was then sent to China, to Malaysia. They had to get rid of it. They had to do something with it. So to say these things is one thing. To say things in a news program that's produced by Barbara Walters, a newswoman, and not back them up with the facts, that's where the irresponsible things come in. And by the way, it's one thing to talk about these things and for all of us to wonder what happened on 9/11. It's another thing to go on national television and accuse a man who's running for the presidency of the United States of America of being involved in one of the largest conspiracies, if this were true, in the history of the United States and not back it up. That's irresponsible.
And Steve Adubato, speaking of irresponsible, the thing that keeps shocking me, this isn't about Rosie O'Donnell now. This is about Barbara Walters and ABC News. How does Barbara Walters go from being one of the trailblazers in the news business to allowing a woman come on her news show and accuse Rudy Giuliani of a conspiracy theory to bring down buildings on September 11th, the darkest day in the past 100 years in American history? And then again, Barbara Walters, make no mistake, Barbara Walters is enabling a woman to come on her show, on Barbara Walters' show, using ABC airwaves and calling U.S. troops that are giving their all to this country, calling them terror, Asian Americans, mocking the way they talk. How does Barbara Walters and ABC allow this to go on day after day after day?
Joe, the part I don't get is she's leaving the show. Her contract ends, I guess it's in the 23rd, 24th of June. My question is, why let her continue to go on the air? Free speech, that's not the issue here. It's a question of responsibility and accountability. How could Barbara and ABC do this? It's a rhetorical question because the answer is, obviously, they don't care enough about themselves, the standards, and most of all, their audience, their viewers, who deserve better than this. It is a news program, no matter what anyone wants to say, because she is involved in life and death issues, people putting their lives on the line in our troops, but also talking about Building 7 and a so-called special there's going to have. She's not going to do it in a real way, and people were killed, and it's unacceptable.
We've got to go. Let me ask you very quickly, Jane, a prediction. Is Rosie O'Donnell going to be booted off for calling U.S. troops terrorists?
If this keeps up, she very well might. I think that one of the real crimes here is that we as the media kind of dropped the ball in looking at these Iraqi casualties and the horrific number of deaths of innocent civilians in Iraq. And I think that this is a call for all of us to not wait until somebody says something inappropriate to discuss that issue.
So maybe, I don't know, so maybe you think that maybe our troops are terrorists?
No, I don't. Absolutely not. But I think we should be devoting more time to Iraqi's deaths than we do to Paris Hilton.
Okay, well, fine.
Different debate.
I'll tell you what. Why don't we call the Shia and ask them to stop killing the Sunnis? And why don't we call the Sunnis and tell them to stop blowing up little children? We're not doing that. They're doing that to each other. John Ridley, quickly. Will Rosie O'Donnell survive calling U.S. troops terrorists?
I think she will. I think, as Steve says, it's the ratings are the most important things. And if you can accuse Giuliani of being involved in conspiracy without fact, she can do anything at this point.
All right. It's disgusting. Thank you so much, John Ridley, Jane Velez Mitchell, Steve Adubato. We'll be right back in a second.